Welcome to the Leadership School podcast. I'm your host, leadership and self-care coach, Kyla Cofer. Here at the Leadership School, you'll hear leaders from around the world sharing their stories and expertise on how to lead with balance and integrity. Our goal? Teach you how to be an extraordinary leader. Welcome back, leaders, to another episode of the Leadership School podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today I really want to talk a little bit about what it means to do your own work as a leader. So to set the stage, I was talking with a friend recently, and we were discussing an outgoing leader for a nonprofit that we're associated with. We had a lot of issues working with this leader. We struggled to have confidence in the leader. We struggled to build trust. When we were communicating with this person, we didn't feel like this person was trustworthy. We didn't feel like we could trust the person's responses and answers to us. Often answers were vague and trying to say the right thing. I like to say kind of lawyery, like how a lawyer wants to give you, a good lawyer is going to give you enough information to answer your question, but not more than you actually need to know. Lawyers excel at this, and it's a really great gift for that profession. But when you are working with a nonprofit and you're trying to communicate with your staff, your employees, your volunteers, the people that you serve, people are looking for honest, clear answers. And so we really struggled working with this leader because we didn't feel like we could trust this person. We noticed that in every bit of communication, this leader, instead of portraying confidence and courage, that this leader portrayed a lot of doubt and insecurity. And those issues, doubt, insecurity, low self-worth, those things, whether you believe it or not, come across in the work that you do and the way that you show up. So if you want to really excel as a leader, whatever area you're in, you can be a leader in your family, in your community, a city, government. You can be a leader for a nonprofit, your company that you work in. There are hundreds of thousands of different leadership roles that you're going to take at some point in your life. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. There are hundreds of thousands of leadership roles that are out there available. You're probably not going to take that many in your life, but you could take on any number of different varieties of types of leadership roles, especially if that's your personality. You're the one who's stepping in and showing up as the responsible person for a group of people and bringing people into the compelling story that we talk about a lot here. So if that is you, I just want to ask the question, what kind of internal work are you doing to show up in your role as a leader? Because whether you believe it or not, or whether you know it or not, the people that you're leading notice. And they're noticing and paying attention and watching how you're caring for yourself. So I talk about this a ton when I'm doing my self-care work and burnout work. It's saying how it's so important to take care of yourself first, and making sure that your own well-being is okay before you take care of other people. And a reason for this is because when you don't do that, you don't have what you need to take care of other people, but also because others are replicating you. People are watching you and they're following you and doing what you do. They're mirroring you, whether you realize it or not. But people are taking your lead. So if you're a boss at a company and you are showing people that it's a good thing to take care of yourself, you're showing people that it's okay to take a break and go for a walk. It's okay to spend time with your family and not answer work calls at all hours of the day. If you are the person who's leading the way and you are showing people how to do that, they're going to follow you. So you have to think, what do I want my employees to be like? How do I want them to show up? And you need to show up in that same way. And so this is part of why it's really important to do that internal personal development work. That leader that I mentioned was really struggling with that. And because of that, those of us following didn't know where to look. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to answer. We didn't know, when we were asking a question and we felt like the response was a little unsure, a little vague. We didn't feel really confident in our own roles and in how we were showing up because the feedback that we were getting was one of kind of doubt and insecurity. We could talk about doubt and insecurity another time. That's really not what I wanted to talk about today. Because doubt and insecurity is something that can really plague us a lot. And we talked about this a little bit with Chris Kelso when we talked about imposter syndrome. And it's something that can plague a leader. It can plague anybody. It has plagued me for a long time in my life. The reason I show up to do this work, because I don't want anybody else to deal with the long road of self-doubt and lack of confidence in yourself and low self-worth and insecurity, because I have dealt with that for so long in my own life. And I've found some ways to really work through that because I have invested in my own personal development work. That might mean any number of things. Continuously reading growth books that encourage the development of your behavior, of your thought, of your mindset. Those could be personal development, nonfiction books, but fiction books also can do this for you. I remember I've been reading a book series, and the reason I was so drawn to it, what's it called? It's Leigh Bardugo. I highly recommend it. Leigh Bardugo and the Grishaverse. She's got, let me think, 3 books in the Grishaverse series, and then the Six of Crows series. I think there's another 3 books. I read them all, even though they're hundreds and hundreds of pages long, because I was so drawn to the development of the characters, and they were affecting the way I thought about myself. So books are really, really powerful. You don't like to read? Listen to audiobooks, podcasts, doing things that are going to benefit your own improvement. And developing things like compassion, empathy, self-worth, confidence. These kinds of topics are really, really crucial for you and your personal growth as a leader, because those are the energies that you're sending out. So if low self-worth, doubts, insecurities about your leadership are hitting you, I want to say, first of all, you would not be in this leadership role if you weren't capable of handling it. When somebody hires you for a role, they hire you because they believe in you and they believe that you can do the job. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten the job. So show up in some belief for that. Believe that you are supposed to be there. Believe that you are meant to show up in this space, and step into that with confidence and courage, knowing fully that this is where you are supposed to be in this moment in time. And there's no reason to doubt your abilities, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't capable of it. So I want you to think about today, what does it mean for me to do my own work so that I can lead others in a way, maybe in a way that you want to be led? There will always be people leading you. Even the greatest leaders in the world still had people that they were following. You will always be following people, and you'll always be leading others. And we don't live our lives in a vacuum. We don't live our lives on this space where everything's always going to be the same. The person that you are today is not going to be the person that you're going to be in 2 years. And there's no need to feel shame or sadness for the person that you were 2 years ago, because that's part of your story and that's part of your journey. But there is a responsibility to show up today as the person that you want to be today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, and to be working on that. We're going to be 120 years old before and still think, I still have things to learn. I still have things to grow. I still have things to improve on. And most likely, none of us are going to make it to 120 years old. Maybe there's one of you out there who I hope that for you, because long life is wonderful and a gift. But most of us aren't going to be there. So we're going to always be spending our life improving, growing upon the things that we've already learned, the things that we've already established and built. And there's no reason to ever at any point think, oh man, I suck. I wasn't good enough. I am so embarrassed about how I acted before. It's all part of our journey. It's all part of who we are. But take ownership of it. If you're embarrassed about it, that's just a sign telling you, hey, I need to do something different going forward. If you're thinking, man, I just really failed a lot, maybe that's just a sign to apologize, to show up and say, I was wrong. And so I can commit to you that I'm going to do something differently going forward. I talked about the leader that was the outgoing leader. that we struggled having trust and confidence in. Most of it was really just because that leader didn't have that trust and confidence in themselves. So it's important to really think about, if you're not having that trust and confidence in yourself, what's causing that? What is it that makes you think that you can't do this thing that you've been put in charge of? What story are you telling yourself that is leading you to believe that you're not capable or that you're not worthy? And if you're telling yourself this story, how can you change that narrative? How can you change the way that you're showing up in your own mind? Our minds are extremely powerful. If you haven't learned this already, let me be the one to tell you, your mind is capable of way more than we can ever imagine. Your mind is capable of healing yourself, which is incredible. Physically healing your body. Your mind is capable of doing that. And so why wouldn't our mind be capable of healing our own thought patterns and our own stories that we're creating? You are in charge of your own life. And as a leader, sometimes you're in charge of the lives of other people. So show up knowing that, accepting that you are in charge, which means that you have so much freedom to do things like say no to things, say yes to things. We talk a lot about this when we talk about boundaries. But it also means that you're free to love and accept yourself, to be clear and confident about who you are, to own your responsibilities and your roles, and to say, yep, I'm here and this is what I believe. You know, you're not going to do this in an arrogant way. You're not going to say, well, this is it, and this is my way or the highway. I am always right. You're going to have a lot of compassion in the things that you say and that you do for yourself and for other people. You're going to say, you know what, this is what I believe today. If it changes later, okay. But I'm going to have confidence in my decisions, in my decision making, in the way that I'm doing my job, in the way that I'm showing up in my life, in my family. Be confident in your decisions. Be confident in your abilities, because you can do and you are doing incredible, amazing things. And the small little things that you do, the good little things that you do, are having ripple effects. They're making positive change in the world, even if it's not something that you think might be a big change. You know, it might not be signing a bill that changes the whole course of history in your country, but it could be buying a little tool that is going to help your company. It could be something, it's just going to be little things. It's our little things of the way that we show up every day in our leadership roles that are making more of an impact than we even realize. Believe in yourself the way that I believe in you. Believe in yourself the way that you believe in the people around you, because you're more than capable. And when you do your work as a leader, that's when the magic starts to happen. And you are then bringing people along into a very compelling story, into one that directs people in a positive way and that makes positive change. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you've liked what you heard and you want some more tools and resources to help you on your journey, go check out kylacofer.com/free stuff.